Folks, welcome to the Market Internal Review for August 23, 2023. That's fun to say. We started today with a dollar and change gap up on SPY. Market as a whole gapped up. The Russ had a much smaller gap. I think it was about 10 cents or so. First couple things right out of the gate. We got a strong add and Vold band. We got a little bit of red, but once we hold this gap, we got a trending notification here via the trend imbalance. We've got a ton of mercy squeeze signals here on the strong buy side. Trends all looking bullish. Pretty much all systems go. We just got to hold this gap. We got to see how we're going to respect these TWAP prices. I always say if we're not in the range, we're going to visit the range when it comes to these TWAP levels. So we start a little above Tuesday's TWAP price, which is ironically really close to that daily gap mid. And so that's not providing, from my experience, much probability of retracement down below or retracement of the range, because we're already retracing the range by whatever price direction we decide to go. So that's very exciting to see that. Now it's just all about picking a direction. We started, I think, with about 800 advancement and quite quickly moved to 1,000 advancement across the New York Stock Exchange. A little bit of a dirty price delivery here with these candles kind of 180, 180, 180. We finally see a strong tick level test right at first standard deviation low. The open price right above TWAP and close right outside of this range, right above the early stages of the first standard deviation high. I wonder how many times this kind of setup exactly right here with the tick levels and everything is made for a trending day. It'd be very interesting to backtest that. So we hit this, and that's pretty much all systems go. You're buying right on this TWAP level, expecting at least another TWAP level to be hit and beyond. Looking at the first instance of resistance for the day being the previous day high, we break through that, and then we've got 0-day market traders with their expected move high calculated from the open. I've explained in previous videos why I specifically do that anchorage point for that calculation, but we hit that multiple times and we oscillate for pretty much the entire lunch slump period. Once we do break above that, we've got pretty much all green on Mercy all day long. We've got green price and volume all day. Very little bear tick whatsoever. These are just low wicks below zero. Very crazy. But you can see different times of the day where the Mercy and MIT also give you very good opportunities to join in on a trending move. So if you're somebody that likes to wait for a move to have a good amount of confirmation and you're not afraid of maybe keeping that risk a little tighter because you're entering later into the trend, use these tools to help you find those pinpoint entries. I mean, these were just incredible entries to join the trend. Anywhere of any one of these would have been really great. Now, where do you trim on that? I think you use the bands on TWAP itself, the second and third deviation high. You can also scroll back to see if there are any old TWAP levels from other sessions long past. We don't have any of those since we're starting to kind of reverse maybe a little bit. So your other level too is your Friday expiration expected move high, which I've shown how to calculate these kinds of things in another video. You can go look it up. But that's 44463. We didn't quite make it there. One area of guidance for you is you can use these bands from historical prices in future structure. So any of these points in time, this was the second deviation from back here. If you enter here, you can still hold this as a level into future price, even here. And look, we have nice levels to trim off of for our entry. And the best thing about it is even though these are moving, you can still continue to draw your lines off of them depending on where it is you're entering. You can use these all over the place. It's very fun. So anyways, pretty standard trending day. We did see VIX fall below 16 again. And let's go look at the internals. So here's trend. Trend showing some very interesting data on a trending buy day. This one a little bit more confusing today compared to yesterday's sell day, but basically this is not oversold and this is not selling. So I'm going to do some more research on this. This one here definitely seems like it's trying to say it's time to sell. I'm not sure. Very confusing. I'll be honest on that one. Looking at the Vold, we can see Vold had a couple of those moments, like I mentioned from Monday's video, where we kind of get this bar coding kind of formation here. Those two seem to be some kind of signal. I'm not really sure what, but they excite me when I see them. And we finally broke over this kind of recent term level where we've bounced and oscillated around a handful of times. We break through that by about 10:30, definitely by 11. The volume breaks to the strong buy side around 130, 230-ish. We really are in there. You see the accumulation just continues all day pretty much throughout, which is what I would expect on a trending day. Same thing for tick. Tick started its accumulation to the buy side very early on, and this accumulation indicator I've got just shows me where the trending moves are for that accumulation, and we continue to grow. Let's see, from about 10 o'clock, 10:15 to 12:30, and then again 1 o'clock to 2:15. And even the chunking method gives you somewhat of the same narrative. We have all these extreme tick highs breaking over 500, and the bodies themselves breaking. We had one extreme tick today, not very much for such a strong trend. And then we've got some here throughout the rest of the day. Notice, just as MIT showed, not a whole lot of low side here, certainly no breaks below. So very interesting how today, with the NVDA earnings coming out, with Jackson Hole and JPOW on Friday, and we're still just seeing more and more buying. Is it a trap, or is it a reversal? We'll have to see. Look at price though. So price across the New York Exchange, we had this little bit of a range. After a little bit of a dump, we definitely start to rip right out of the morning, and then per the accumulation, you can see we just spent pretty much all day accumulating until about 2 o'clock. Price was leading volume. That's one important thing to note, is by 12:30, price was in the extreme buy zone, but Vold wasn't there until another hour later. So something to take note when you see that. Usually, in my experience, when price leads volume, typically that's going to be more ripe for some kind of a reversal. Could be a weak one, could be a strong one. You'd have to just watch it manifest to see. But we definitely did see a little bit of a reversal. Some indexes didn't show it near as much as other ones. I'll show you the cues, and you'll see which one perhaps was leading the reversal charge for intraday price. So that was around 2 o'clock, if you want to remember that. Looking at big picture here on the multi-time frame TWAP analysis, we're just going to go to SPY, and we're going to look at the monthly TWAP. So I had mentioned in Monday's review, Thursday from last week was our third deviation low test on the month. I was cautiously optimistic that may have been the low for August. If that was the low, where then would we expect the close to be? And I had mentioned the close perhaps would be in the first standard deviation range. So that would be a 449, almost 450 to 440 and change. So monthly TWAP is sitting. We continue to drag it down. It has basically remained flat today, but it is at 444.5. So definitely expect some kind of reaction there. I'm expecting with the NVIDIA earnings that we're seeing, we might open up somewhere above monthly TWAP. If that happens, I'm definitely going to expect price to retrace. So kind of like what we had here. I kind of call them cheater gaps because I fully expect the options market is what moves a lot of the price around. So when we see these gaps into significant areas of advancement, like a first standard deviation from a second deviation move, I expect those to be retested. The entire options market is priced and based off of standard deviation and statistics and whole strike, whole dollar amounts. So that's why I've put standard deviations in pretty much all of my indicators, just because they're core to the mechanics of the market. So, that being said, I'm going to go over to the Qs. So by about 2 o'clock, that's where we see the peak of price. And I said when price leads volume, expect some retracement. So we almost hit monthly TWAP high, and we get a nice $1.40 almost retracement right back to this monthly TWAP level. So that was a decent retracement. The Dow gave us a similar one. It broke above previous day high and retraced back to TWAP. Russ itself remained very strong by, gosh, I guess that wasn't even 2. So 2 o'clock, let's see, where's 2? So here's 2, and we retrace to this monthly TWAP level. Look at how many times we wick. And then we do finally come back down to previous day high before we come right back and close on that monthly TWAP level for about 33-cent retracement. We do have one mercy squeeze signal on the Russ today. That would have got you maybe 30-some cents. Not quite sure that this was you could say it's a successful signal, but it didn't reap a lot of rewards. Then again, it's a very strong buy day. Taking a look at VIX, a lot more decline past basically since Monday. We've done essentially nothing but decline. Quickly looking at the daily SPY chart with the sectors. So all of the sectors had somewhat of a bounce on the RSI. We do see a couple of them slowly creeping up here on price, but most significantly is we saved this weekly trend. We bought over the 10-day SMA, the 10-day average closing price on SPY, and we're right at this relative high here, and we do have a gap. So very interesting price structure here with NVDA. I do expect that we're going to be testing the 50 SMA tomorrow, and maybe even the 20. Really just depends on how much the market's willing to give back after this NVIDIA pump. So quick summary and review. Watch these monthly TWAP levels. Watch this monthly TWAP range. I do find it fascinating that our standard deviation is about 534, because just about every day, I want to say, we've made about that kind of a move. So from the gap low to the high price, that's about 534. From the gap high open price to the low, we didn't quite make that $5 range. I want to say this day we definitely did, from the low to the high. Yeah, almost $5 there. Just something interesting I'm noting is that standard deviation definitely seems to help guide my edge on what kind of range I expect for SPY. So there's another $5-ish range from the high to the lows. And it might scale because this deviation range scales as more data comes into play. So we're at $3 back there, $4 here. So it's going to continue to expand depending on how price is moving. I'm expecting the price to probably, by the end of this month, it's almost over, probably do something like head up into this range here, maybe come back, make a test here, and land somewhere within first standard deviation high, maybe come a little lower, hard to say. Seasonality wise, I think August is like medium returns. It's not the best month, it's not the worst. September, I believe, heads into that direction. So we could reject on the 50 SMA ultimately, or the 20, and end somewhere around 50. Other than that, I think this pretty much concludes the review. Hope you found it informative and insightful. I'm really aiming to just show people how to use these tools, how to read the price, and find optimal entries, determine what kind of day is it. Is it a trending day? Is it a scalp day? Is it a day to walk away? Those are all the things that I think a lot of traders will struggle with, either because of discipline or they don't want to miss out, some FOMO. that kind of thing. So these tools help me. Hopefully they're helping you. If you got any questions, feel free to leave them on Twitter or X and YouTube. Reach out there anytime, or TradingView on the scripts page. Feel free to leave comments there as well. Ask questions. Really appreciate all the feedback I've been receiving. Seems rather positive for Mercy and all the other tools. So really motivates me to keep going. Hope you had a great day today on the markets. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy trading.